Welcome to Marvel Universe 19, where we dive deep into the extraordinary world of Marvel Comics. Join us, your hosts, myself, CosplayDude637, Ty Tiger, Mark the Red Cornish Ranger, and even A-Crown, as we explore the adventures of your favorite characters from the Marvel Universe, such as the iconic X-Men, the thrilling New Mutants, and the dynamic Marvel Rising Heroes, along with Avengers, Fantastic Four, any Marvel hero you can think of, you'll hear it here on this channel. So, sit back, get ready, and join us for an epic journey through Marvel Universe 19. Chapter 2, What the Heart Wants.
No place to hide, no place to run, no place to run. Mutant age has now begun. X-Men, it's the day, X-Men, coming your way. Magneto's hordes are on the way to pillage, burn, and plunder. But there's one team that will not yield, the team that strikes like thunder. X-Men, it's the day, X-Men.
Remy LeBeau, aka the Gambit, has always answered Xavier's call when it comes to helping the school, but not this time. This time, Gambit had other plans in mind, and for once he was going to do something for the person that mattered the most to him. Gambit steps off the plane in New Orleans airport and takes in a deep breath of air. "'Tis good to be home," Gambit says, and heads inside the airport building. Remy LeBeau is no stranger to being on his own, and after leaving the X-Men, that is just what he has been. Remy, aka Gambit, has been doing odd jobs, doing what he did in the past, being a thief. Gambit has not really done any big jobs, but that was all about to change. As leader of the Thieves Guild, Gambit was about to get a job that would truly change his life.
Hi, I'm Billy, and you're listening to Cosplay Dude 637, only on the Zero to Hero Network.
A few weeks later, Gambit sits at his normal table in the Rogue Hand. That was his club. A bottle of Jack Daniels in front of him. Slowly, a man in a three-piece suit walks up to the table. Gambit kicks back in his seat and puts his boot up on the table. "Are you Gambit?" the man asks. "Well, mon ami, that depends on who is looking for him," Gambit replies. "My name is Mr. Rick. I was to meet with him here," Rick says. Gambit smiles and kicks out the chair. "I'm your man, mon ami," he says. Mr. Rick sits down. "I need you to, procure something for me," Rick says. Gambit sits up and pours the man a drink. "Do tell," Gambit says. "I am a member of the Catholic Church, and there is a castle on the outskirts of the bayou. A cult has set up residence there, and they have a cross with supernatural powers," Rick explains. "Oui, I know the place you speak of, mon ami," Gambit replies. "The Catholic Church would like you to get the cross back for us," Rick says. "Is that so? Well, you see, I don't come free," Gambit says. "We understand. And that is why I have been authorized to offer you $30,000 for your help. I have half in cash with me," Rick says and holds up a briefcase. "And I will have the other half for you once we have the cross again," Rick finishes. Gambit smiles and stands up taking the briefcase. "Mon ami, that cross will be yours in 2 days," Gambit says and shakes Rick's hand. Rick nods and walks off. "Woo-hoo, Gambit! Easy money for an easy job," Gambit says and sits back down.
Generic audio commercial, Zero to Hero, take 43. Hey listener, it looks like you're having fun over here. Listening to insert generic name here. If you like what you're listening over here, come on over to the Zero to Hero podcast, where you can join Billy and myself, the bulk and skull of podcasting. If you want to listen to Ranger Powers, and you want to go into and talk about anime, Gundam. Oh, what did I make up wrong?
You're supposed to say Zero to Hero is the best, and Billy and Jim as Bulk and Skull of Podcasting is funnier than any other show out there. And you didn't say Power Rangers right. Get out of here, do it again.
Dang it. Fine. generic audio commercial. Zio to Hero. Take number 44. Hey, listener, it looks like you're having fun over here. Listening to insert generic name here.
God,
Oh, come on!
The next day, after reading up on the castle and the Thieves Guild library, Gambit makes his way down the bayou in a speedboat that he won from some poor sucker. Thanks to what Gambit read, he knew that this old castle was used in the Civil War. During that time, a back way in was built that no one knew about, simply because it was built by the Thieves Guild. Using the back way in, Gambit was able to gain access to the main hall without being seen. Once inside, Gambit made his way quickly to the room where the cross was being held. Okay, pick this lock and cross is all mine. But this is just too easy, Gambit says, pulling out his lock-picking kit. The lock was old and rusted. For a master thief like Gambit, it was child's play. Gambit slowly opens the door and looks to see if there were any guards. Okay, now I know this is just too easy. If this cross is so powerful, where are all the guards? Where is all the security systems? Gambit says, shoving the door all the way open. In an empty room, there was nothing but the cross. Gambit makes his way over to the cross, which sits on a small podium. It was not under a glass or had any kind of alarm system. Gambit picks up the cross and pulls out a small backpack from under his trench coat, and he places the cross inside. Well, looks like I just made some easy money, Gambit says, slipping the bag on his back and running out of the room. The next day, Gambit sits at his normal table and his club once again, the bag with the cross sitting on the table. Gambit's feet were up on the table and he had a very satisfied look on his face. Mr. Rick makes his way through the crowd of people and over to the table. Is that it? He asks, motioning to the bag. Oui? Is that my money? Gambit asks. Rick nods and lays a briefcase on the table. Gambit sits up and moves the briefcase over and opens it, looking inside. Well, mon ami, looks like our business is done here, Gambit says, sliding the bag over to Rick. The church thanks you for all your help, sir, and may God be with you, Rick says, and picks up the bag and walks off. Gambit nods and closes the case. Well, Remy, my boy, you're set for at least a few months, Gambit says, and picks up the case and walks out of the club.
My name is Rusfer, also known as the Banker. My name is feared by many universes. And now, I'm currently working on destroying Universe 19. No Ultra Rangers, Power Rangers Cyberforce, Skyforce, hell, even those Kamen Riders, and those pesky Beetle Troopers. Nothing can get in my way. If you want to hear me destroying Power Rangers Universe 19, well, you can listen on the podcast and watch my evil excellence destroy those dumb enough to face me on the Power Rangers Universe 19 podcast. Come listen if you dare.
A few weeks later, Gambit sits in his apartment drinking some Jack Daniels. There is a huge flash of light. Without being able to see, Gambit jumps to his feet and draws out one of his cards and charges it up. Once Gambit's eyes is able to see, he sees the external, known as Candra. Gambit draws the kinetic power from the card back into himself. External? What are you doing here? Gambit asks. I am here for you, Remy LeBeau, Candra shouts. For me? What little Gambit do? Gambit asks. You stole the Cross of Serenity for a cult of darkness, Candra explains. Sorry, Cher, that is where you are wrong. I stole the cross for the Catholic Church, Gambit replies. No, you foolish mortal! You stole it from the Catholic Church and gave it to the cult of Tektorok, Candra tells him. Well, crap. I got played too. But Gambit don't see why the external would care about that, Gambit says. That cross is one of the few weapons that can kill my kind, and the cult of Takturik, that is their sole mission in life, Candra explains. Okay, fine. So I did, but what does that have to do with you in my place, Gambit asks. Candra glares at him with disgust. You're going to steal it back from the cult, she says, and snaps her fingers. A blueprint of the cult's base lays on the table. Gambit walks over and starts to look over the blueprints. This is not going to be easy. I would need someone that can get us in and out, someone diverse in computers, and finally, someone with some real muscle, Gambit tells her. Then you shall have them, Candra shouts and snaps her fingers again, and this time, Rogue, Beast, and Nightcrawler stand in front of Gambit. Teachers, Beast says, and then notices he was no longer in the school. Rogue spots Gambit and runs over, hugging him. Then she hits him hard in the left arm. Could someone tell me where we are? Nightcrawler asks. I also like to know how we got here, Beast says. I called for you. Gambit is in need of your aid on a job he must carry out, Candra says. I know you. You're the external that 2 guilds paid tribute to, Rogue says. Candra nods. Your teammate here stole something and he needs all your help to get it back, Candra explains. What you steal now, sugar? Rogue asks, looking at Gambit. It seems I stole the cross from the Catholic Church for some cult that is out to kill the externals. But in my defense, I thought I was stealing it for the Catholic Church, Gambit says. And you did this out of the kindness of your heart? Nightcrawler asks. No, they paid me handsomely, Gambit replies. There should have been your clue, number 1. The church would never hire a thief, Nightcrawler explains. Yeah, mon ami, I get that now. Question is, will you help me get it back? Gambit asks. Beast and Nightcrawler nod. Rogue, on the other hand, crosses her arms and shakes her head no. I'm going to pull a you, Cajun, and ask, what's in it for us? Rogue asks. Gambit looks at her, totally shocked. What's wrong, sugar? You think just because you ask we will jump to help you? Wrong answer, buddy. After all, you did not come back to the school when we needed your help, Rogue says. Candra smirks at this. The young lady has a very good point, and for the 3 of you, I will grant you 1 heart's desire, Candra explains. Rogue smiles and nods. Well then, you can count me in as well, Rogue says. Candra nods and disappears, leaving Gambit and his team to start making their plans. This podcast is a production of the 3 Ranger Bros Studios, in association with Zio to Hero, the podcast. Thank you all for listening to that story. I hope you enjoyed it. Just a reminder that all my fanfictions are just that, fanfictions, and does not mean to infringe on the mainstream continuity that it's from. Now, I'd like to take a little bit of time to thank all those that support me. First off, you have the 3 Ranger Bros Studio, which consists of myself, CosplayDude637, my Parabatai and dear friend, Ty Tiger, with all his YouTube channels, Tiger Tales, and his new podcast, the Tiger Nexus Podcast. Then, of course, last but definitely not least, we have Mark, the Red Cornish Ranger, with his podcast, Nerds Through Comics. And then there's the guys at Zio to Hero, the podcast. Jim and Billy, the bulk and skull of podcasting. Anything nerdy you think you have ever talked about, I guarantee they have an episode about it. So, definitely go check them out. Then, we have Jared over on If You Give a Dad a Podcast. An amazing guy, a dad, like myself, that just loves talking to nerdy people about every subject. So definitely go give him a listen also. Then there's Jacob, aka the Iron Avenger, on TikTok and Instagram. We also have to give a shout out to Ben, the Baker Ranger. And last but not least, there is Tony, our good friend. And an honorable mention to the late, great Rebel Ranger, Sam. We love you, we miss you. Every person I just mentioned is a member of the Zio to Hero Network. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of time to mention some of the friends of the Zio to Hero Network. First off, we have Casey from the Mighty Morphin Conspiracy Theories, Justin, aka A-Crown, from the Author's Crown YouTube channel, Johnson of Western Strike, Rob, aka Lightning Collector 2021, James, better known as Beauty _ Baba Yaga, Justin the Green Spartan Ranger, and Michael and Nathan of The Power Trip. Everyone I just named has been a huge supporter to me and my podcast, and if you can, go give them a follow. It would mean the world to me. Thanks a lot. Until next time, guys. Later days.
You look nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs.